Hi everyone. So today we are going to start model 2 looking at David Smith's sculptures. So we're gonna jump a little bit in time again from Rodin to in the 19th, 20th century to the post-war era. Where so far we've gone in chronological order, right? So we've had Wilhelm Lessing in the 18th century, moving on to Rodin and Augusta Savage in the 1930s and now to 1940s and 50s. So what happened in between Rodin and David Smith? I want to give you a little bit of a background so you don't feel completely lost when you read Krauss and Greenberg. So between after Rodin, artists started reacting against this big enterprise of making sculpture. Rodin had many apprentices, many assistants working in his studio, among them Brancusi, actually, who then went off on his own. And they made his sculptures. He would design them, he would create them in clay, but then he only um, made his mark on the sculpture a little bit, letting the rest of his assistants do most of the work with um, with machines, sculpting the stone and the marble with machines. So artists in the early 20th century reacted against this. You can see this in German expressionist work, um, in Kirchner's, German artist Kirchner. He started creating sculptures by direct carving technique. And this is especially, uh, Brancusi is especially known for this technique. So instead of, let's say, making the clay model and then letting someone else actually create the sculpture or making a plaster out of it, artists started working by themselves and creating, we see now with some of these monumental sculptures, think of Rodin's Gates of Hell, it's huge. Now we see smaller size sculptures because it takes a lot of effort and time to go in and sculpt by hand, just one artist at a time. But artists really like this kind of mode of working because it made them connect more with the material, and to them it felt like they were personally involved in, let's say, liberating the figure, or what Brancusi would call the spirit, out of the stone itself or out of the wood. Um, so it's this kind of personal relationship with the material that artists really liked. Um, Along the same time, there was more introductions of more materials, different kind of materials in sculpture. Now you could use plastic, steel, iron, whatever an artist could find that would think that would fit his vision of a particular sculpture. And they've also started experimenting with light and motion, as we see in the constructivist works, Moholy-Nagy, in his time at the Bauhaus. You can read more about that in Krauss's chapter on constructivism, and that is in the list of essays for the reading presentation if you're interested in constructivist sculpture, which is quite abstract, which encompasses a lot of geometric forms and playing especially with light and motion as well. So as more artists started experimenting with direct carving, different materials, we arrive at David Smith in the 1940s. Now, some of these artists that I mentioned, they didn't completely eschew the figurative. We can see the figurative in, say, the works of Barbara Hepworth and Henry Moore. But along the line, their sculptures became more and more simplified as they looked more towards outside sources of influence. So sculptures from Oceania, from Africa, from Native Americans, and you'll see in David Smith too, he was influenced by the concept of totemism as well from Native Americans. So these artists absorbed all these influences into their work as they try to figure out how to represent the figure or how to not to represent the figure. And we see this in David Smith's work as well, but working entirely differently than Rodin did, using steel, working on his own, and kind of reconfiguring the form, the human form, to see it from all different aspects according to the material that he's using. So that's some little background, some summary of what we'll be tackling this week. And also don't forget to think about your final paper topic, which it's due by November 6th. So I'll have to send that in by November 6th. You can look at any sculpture that you like. I know some of you are interested in Renaissance art, and that's okay, but keep in mind that this is a modern art course. So if you're going to choose a Renaissance sculpture or from any other time period before or after modern art, modern art is considered, I would say, the start of Rodin, so late 1800 to 1965, so towards the end of minimalism. So from that period, you can choose whichever, or you can choose outside of that period, but still making connection to modernism. So putting in that context, and the easiest way is to compare, let's say, a Renaissance work to modern work like David Smith sculptures. So always keeping in mind this modern context that we discuss in class. So, and yeah, if you're not, sure whether a topic is appropriate or not, just give me an email and we can talk about it. All right, have a good rest of your week.